Just peed on the doctor's table, and there it was, ready for him to use.
Yeah. Well, that's always a good thing. Just let it go.
Yeah, well, it was very convenient, so
Yep.
worked out for everybody.
Oh, yeah. But unfortunately, your cat had diabetes, which
Yeah, yeah, which is what we're,
everybody was
which is,
wondering what the world conversation was.
which is, which is what we're coming in the middle of a conversation
I
about.
noticed that red button was on.
Yeah, yeah. When I would take my cat to the vet, he'd pee, and one time he peed on the table, which was convenient because the vet needed some cat pee to do some tests, and that's how we found out about. So we're going to do comments about Send It, and if you're hearing this and saying,
Needed to do
well,
tests. Maybe just collected pee.
uh,
But
and if you're so before anybody says, well, they didn't read my comments about Endless Lies, well, we did because Endless Lies was on Thanksgiving week, and everybody at Radio Trolla Entertainment, a sort of deli meats amalgamated, gets Thanksgiving week off. We didn't do a Zoomcast last week, so all the comments about Endless Lies will be in the bonus tracks episode, which comes out, I don't know, I think the beginning of the year. So,
yeah, because we just did calling him. Wait a minute. No. Okay, no, that was a few weeks ago. I just
yeah,
haven't had to listen to the podcast in a few weeks because I've been off work too.
yeah. So,
So,
so here's people's comments about Send It.
hey, Tracer Anthony says catchy and bouncy, but wholly forgettable. This 3 minute, 4 second, unassuming shot of pop, the very last song of side two of Balance of Power, officially brings the curtain down on the remnants of classic ELO. The boys had a great run.
Yeah, they sure did. 1971 to 1986. Um, there aren't a lot of bands that make it last that long. Some after 5 years, some like Jellyfish, who I'm still pretty mad at, 2 albums, and then I don't want to do this anymore because I love Jellyfish, and they stick me with 2 albums and then leave. Anyway,
Or Guns N' Roses, where it's technically 2 albums worth of actually stuff worth listening to, and then gone. Notice I'm not including Chinese Democracy in that.
what were those 2 albums? Because I never heard anything from Guns N' Roses that was worth listening to.
Appetite for Destruction,
Oh,
half of GNR Lies, and there's about a good album's worth out of both Use Your Illusions albums.
hmm. I must have heard a different version than you and everybody else. I guess I don't know. Mark Jealous. I like the sparseness of this song and find Richard Tandy's keyboards rather infectious. I take your point about it being perhaps a rather low-key last ever track. I think when you come to the bonus tracks on the 2007 reissue of this album, there is a possible candidate to replace Send It in this context. It has a suitable title given Jeff's situation and what could be next. But how would he get there? At the time, it sounds like he had no idea. I think I know what song you're talking about. I think we get to that one in about 2 weeks. At least gets posted anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, and at the time, I'm sure Jeff walking away from E.L.O. was like just walking off a cliff and hoping for the best, and hoping that something would catch you. And yeah, things really worked out after that for Jeff.
A lot better, yes.
Yeah.
Corey Gomel says, like EPJ and another song from this album, for some reason this song has always had a sweeping violin arrangement in my head whenever I listen to it. I can't listen to the song without hearing it. And that's just weird because this Kentucky Fried Movie of an ELO song, coupled with country feel sequel to Down Hometown, is way too sad and depressing a theme to add any embellishments. And yet my head goes there. The theme always reminded me of that old cartoon, Snagglepuss quote, exit stage left. It was time for Jeff to go. And as far as that theme, it was clear this was the last ELO song until Jeff needed more cash, or, in a slightly more optimistic way of looking at it, when the public demanded more ELO music again. And by public, I mean me. It only took me a decade and a half to convince Jeff to put out another album with the E.L.O. moniker on it.
Oops, I
Well,
hope.
probably the reason you hear strings in your head is because you were wishing. Wishful thinking.
Could be.
And,
Yeah,
the old sound was back.
yeah, yeah. Like I said in that episode, um, if you know it's your last song for the last album for the last time, as far as you're concerned, you know, should have went big. Bring in the orchestra, all that other stuff. But I covered that in that episode. So
Clowns.
clowns too. That'd be nice too. Trevor Raggett. Did I read one from Trevor Raggett earlier?
We
No.
were thinking we were already doing the send it stuff, or
That's
not the endless lies
endless
stuff.
lies stuff. That's right.
Yeah,
That we just recorded and my head's not all here. But we're going to try and do this. Trevor Raggett. E.L.O. Part 1 bows out with a whimper rather than a bang. Surely the song is perfectly fine in its own way, but the mixture of the rockabilly beat and the 80s sequencers does come across as rather cheesy. As was said, if it was done with real snare and brushes and guitar, it would have a cool Wilburys jug band feel to it, but not with all the bleeps and bloops. I never bought Balance of Power when it first came out. The only E.L.O. album I've ever had on vinyl. No, the only E.L.O. album I've never had on vinyl. I heard a chum's copy and it just didn't do it for me. So I've not got a running order for it burned in my subconscious like every other E.L.O. album. I first got it after the reissues came out in a CD sale. So I've no pre-programmed endpoint for the actual real album. And to be honest, every time I do listen to the album now, I need to remind myself that this is part of the album and not one of the add-on bonus tracks. It really sounds to me like the sort of thing Jeff might have been messing about with in the studio to see how it worked before shelving it or saying, that'll do for a B-side, I suppose. Not what you'd call a glorious finish. Yeah, just a song that just fades out into the black hole at the end of the album, as Bob and Doug McKenzie called it. Yeah, no big. Yeah, I'm just you're kind of bumming me out. I wish it had the big finish like Time and Secret Messages and El Dorado Overture and you know some big deal thing that said we're done. Wasn't that great? Instead of just send it, send it, send it, send it. Needle lifts off the record and goes back to the where it holds it.
nice little hidden track of nothing but guitar feedback.
Well, I can always do without that. All right, I guess we're done here.
We're good.
Okay, I desperately need a nap, so that's what I'm gonna go do before peeing on a table or something like that. I don't have my. I have to look at my schedule and see what I'm doing first.
If you schedule peeing on a table, that is even stranger than if you just went ahead and did it.
I'll make a note of that. Don't schedule peeing on the table. Just do it. All right, got it written down.
Exactly.
All right,
These are
what am I?
things that should be a surprise.
Right. All right. Oh, next week is Caught in a Trap.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
that means that we couldn't get away from listening to it, basically.
There's the trap.
Exactly.